Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 17th February 2024. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TSV Nectar, NECTAR, nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been trying to study, discuss, and analyze the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been trying to do in all my previous videos. So let us continue with the topic for discussion for today's video. But before that, I request you to subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous, present, and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. In the past few videos, we have learned a lot about the shaping up of the psyche of any human living entity, whether a male or female, in a lifetime in this material world. In that process, we realized that the complete multitude of human living entities in a lifetime in this society in the material world can be broadly bifurcated or divided into three broad categories. The first one is the 75% multitude of the vegetative type of living entities who do not realize that this life of theirs has an inbuilt purpose or a goal in it. The second category is of the 20% multitude of those human living entities who realize that they have a purpose or goal in life. But alas, they sincerely believe that this purpose lies in the bracket of the 20% dark negative forces in existence in this material world for times immemorial. Having gravitated into this bracket and after becoming a part and parcel of this bracket, these human living entities choose to believe that whatever purpose they have to achieve in a lifetime in the material world belongs only to the dark negative forces of the material world. However, there is a third minuscule category of human living entities who also realize that they have a purpose in life, but this purpose, according to them, is positive in nature, whether that positivity belongs to the material kind or the spiritual kind or to a complete blend of carefully blended vibrations of both material and spiritual kind. These 5% of humanity in a lifetime in this material world are considered to be the chosen ones, chosen to seek self realization, liberation from this endless cycle of birth and death, and finally getting delivered as evolved souls into the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We also know by now that whether or not you belong to any of the three categories, that is, the 75% vegetative kind, the 20% negative kind, or the 5% positive kind, all living entities, whether human or otherwise, and in fact the whole universe as such, is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead alone. And hence, we cannot question his right or duty to like, love, protect, support, and consider the lives of every human living entity, whether male or female, and belonging to any of these three categories. In other words, generally, just like the positive guys get self-realized, liberated, and ultimately get delivered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, similarly, those who know their purpose in a life just like the positive ones, but who worship the negative forces have every right to worship the negative forces, go on in their journey into this negative bracket, and ultimately, after a tortuous and winding journey, qualify as demons, full fledged demons, and get delivered as a demons into the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The only difference is that while the vegetative kind are blissfully unaware of this purpose in life, and the positive ones have a charmed life as positive worshippers of God, those who worship the negative forces have to go through a lot of pain and torture before they finally get qualified as demons and are ready to be delivered as fully evolved negative and demonic souls into the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Till yesterday, we talked about several case histories, including that of one gentleman called Joaquim Chapo Guzman, and we found out how his psyche was shaped up by the destiny of the same young man when he chose to gravitate into the 20% bracket of the material world. From today, we will take a new route. Yes, we will discuss a particular case history, but before we come to the protagonist of this case history, we will also consider the lives and the psyche of several characters in this case history who were directly or indirectly connected to the protagonist in this particular case history. To facilitate our discussion about this case history, let me reveal the name of the protagonist or antagonist in this case history. His name is Charles Gurumukh Sobraj. Now, before dealing with his particular life, we will also discuss the case histories of those ordinary or otherwise gentle souls who, due to their own destiny, got entangled into the life of the same Charles Gurumukh Sobraj. How did this happen? Why it happened? And what was the result? We will try to discuss in this case history. So let us begin. There is one business community in India called the Sindhi community. The people of this community originally hail from the province of Sindh, which is today a part of Pakistan, but in the beginning of the first decade of the 20th century was a part and parcel of the undivided India. Many of these Sindhis got settled in various other states in India and the metropolises of other states, including Bombay or today's Mumbai and Pune or the present Pune in Maharashtra, India. One such very intelligent, upcoming, dynamic, ambitious, and talented young man from the Sindhi community settled down either in Mumbai or Bombay or in the nearby city of Pune or Pune. The name of this young man was Ho Chand. His surname was Sobraj. So the complete name of this young man was Ho Chand Sobraj. Now we will take a detour. Ho Chand Sobraj was a very intelligent, talented, and dynamic young man who had a purpose in life to succeed in the material side of business in this country and this world. He was a qualified tailor and draper by profession. Being a dynamic Sindhi gentleman and a very well educated one at that, this good looking Ho Chand Sobraj, who was already married and had a family in Pune, relocated to the South Asian country of Vietnam when as he was a young man and a tailor and draper. This is one particular case history, or this is one particular character which makes us feel a little curious and intrigued. Ho Chand Sobraj was otherwise positively dynamic and talented. He was enterprising and was poised to become quite successful in the positively material type of way or life. However, it is rather intriguing that this particular gentleman had some particular snag or zinger in his own destiny, something which we cannot realize now because he was born in the first decade of the 20th century. Now, this man as a young man, relocated to Vietnam, which was at that time under the British rule, and the British colonists already ruled India. Now, it is not necessary that it was the British colonists who ruled this or occupied this country called Vietnam. India had a very powerful French community ruling parts of India, and hence probably the same French guys ruled Vietnam also. This facilitated Mr. Ho-Chand Sobraj getting relocated to this country called Vietnam. Being an enterprising young man, he started his own tailoring and draping shop. Being quite intelligent, enterprising, and hard-working, this guy managed to have one or two more shops in the same country of Vietnam in its capital called Saigon. This shows that this positively inclined person was poised to make his own life a complete success. However, as mentioned before, this guy had a snag in his character. He had a roving eye. Good looking that he already was, he was quite interested in the opposite sex, regardless of whether the girl concerned was an Indian or a foreigner. Now comes the story. Another character creeps into the life of Ho-Chand Sobraj. There are several villages in Vietnam, and some are near that city of Saigon. In one of such villages lived one family of Vietnamese which had an 18-year-old very beautiful daughter. Her name was Noi, N-O-I, Noi. This girl gravitated towards Saigon in search of a job and a living and to earn some financial gains and a remuneration. In that process, one day, this beautiful Noi came to the shop of Ho-Chand Sobraj. Just like Ho-Chand Sobraj, this beautiful Noi was also quite plain and simple, and she wanted to eke out only a living in some field or job in Saigon. In other words, she belonged to the 75% vegetative kind. This girl just thought probably that she had come into this world only to enjoy or suffer whatever was thrown in her direction by her own destiny. Anyway, this Hochand Shobrat, who was several years older than Noi and who had already got married and was having an establishment in Pune, India, fell for the charms of the same Noi. Friction was automatically caused due to the coming together of one dynamic, positive thinking, and enterprising Indian businessman and an extremely pretty and lovely looking 18-year-old lass from Vietnam. These two got into relationship and fell in love with each other. Hochand Sobraj already had given a job to the same Noi in his own shop. Now we have to look at it from the angle of Noi. When this girl left her home in a village in Vietnam in search of a job in Saigon, little did this poor 18-year-old beautiful girl could have ever imagined that she will fall in love with a good looking, dynamic Indian businessman. This is destiny, and it has something to do with the past prarabdha karma of both Hochand Sobraj and Noi. Why they got attracted to each other of all places in Saigon is quite unknown. It also looks quite illogical. Yes, it is a fact that Hochand Sobraj had his business set up in Saigon, where this Noi came from a village from Saigon near Saigon. He was a Vietnamese while he was an Indian businessman. There were several equally beautiful and pretty girls both in his shop as well as in the circle he moved around in Saigon. These girls could have been Vietnamese, French, British, Japanese, and so forth, but destiny wanted this elderly Indian businessman to fall for the charms of this simple 18-year-old girl from Vietnam. This shows to us how destiny and karma work in the case of all or average human living entities both male and female. This is all I wanted to talk about in this particular video. We shall continue with this case history in my next video. Kindly let me know what you think about my talk on this particular subject and case history. Please give me your own expert views, thoughts, opinions, and ideas so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.